Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. It's Josh here with On the Wrong Lead, and I am going to have to fake enthusiasm more than normal because I had a red eye back from Vegas. I had like maybe 5 hours of sleep if I was lucky, and I'm also getting over being sick for the second time in a row while being on vacation. Actually, if we kind of go back, this is almost like 3 times in a row. If we go back to Saratoga, where I had to miss completely because I had COVID. Not doing great on the staying healthy during vacation. But if we want to talk about staying healthy, Mark Capitan,
You pulled me up for that?
little Mark down there at the bottom.
That's Mark.
Yeah, well, that was probably proportional to our height, so that
That
probably
is,
did fit
yes,
there.
that's correct.
But yeah, I don't know, Mark. You go outside, so staying healthy. That's
my feet have felt grass recently, unlike some other people. Yeah, that's true.
Hey, I played disc golf last week at some time, I think. Which is another thing. Hey, we got a disc golf tournament coming up in 2 months. So
We do. It's more than one tournament. It's like a week full of tournaments where during the season, the Saratoga meet, you convinced me to fly to Illinois to go to Springfield, Illinois to play a week of tournaments.
Nah, not even Springfield, dude. Peoria, Illinois.
Sorry, Peoria.
Caleb's been to Illinois like 17 times at this point, and he doesn't even know that Peoria is even in Illinois.
Does most of the state of Illinois realize that Peoria is in the state of Illinois?
Yes, they do. But
I always thought Peoria was like a prison or something.
Partial credit, I think, because I think
from what I've heard, you're not far from wrong.
Yeah, but I mean Peoria is fine. It's not. There's just nothing there. It's just like it's just like a random like 80 to 100,000 person town in the middle of nowhere. Like. But oh, look at
there it is.
I think it's Dejan. He says he's born and raised Chicago. He hates Peoria. So yeah, no one, it does not exactly have a great what's the word I'm looking for here? Reputation. There we go. But yeah, we'll be down there for. We'll be down there for a disc golf tournament, and Ryan Howard coming in hot with a super chat saying he hates Flavian Pratt. I was in Vegas this weekend, and at some point, like I like look at my phone and I see I have a Twitter DM from Ryan, and he's just got like 4 messages about his hate for Flavian Pratt. So
if you watched Belmont today, you also hate Flavian Pratt, like every single person that was apparently Thursday Flavian is the new Thursday Arad. So there's some pretty terrible rides. It was bad.
I don't know. Did you guys play anything today?
I did not.
Took a little look at Belmont. It was not a great card. And I just dabbled around, but no, I didn't really put no focus, just sort of watching and looking for biases to maybe a tackle sometime later this, over the weekend or something.
Yeah, I cashed my first 4 bets of the day. And it was funny. I was talking with Chase earlier today because I was helping him out with some computer stuff. And if you guys don't know Chase, he's at @OakLawn on Twitter. He does the notorious OTB. And so we were working on some IT stuff he had going on, trying to help him with his live stream stuff. And I had mentioned to him that, I'd been kind of going back and forth between playing on Twin Spires and Naira Bets. And Naira Bets is my main AW. Normally I have a rebate through them, but occasionally I get good promos from Twin Spires, and it's like bet 250 get 50 back, and so I'm like, all right, well, like that's better than my couple percent rebate I'm gonna get, so I'll run that through Twin Spires. So So last week I didn't play much on Naira because I had a Twin Spires promo, and so I got a real small rebate. I think it was like $6, and so I got it on Tuesday, and I fired it. I think at Indiana Grand. I put $6 to win on some horse. Ends up winning at like 5-2. And so like the next day, I played at like a $10 double at Indiana Grand. I hit it, right? So I think I was up to like $58. So I tell Chase, I'm like, dude, I'm on this little like little rebate build here. I think I'm gonna see how far we can make this thing go. And sure enough, today I hit my first 4 bets, and I think I ran that what originally was $6 up to 650. So
Nice.
I cashed some of that out, and then I ended up firing away and basically losing whatever else I had in there that I didn't cash out. But yeah, it was fun little day. But yeah, I'll talk more about my Vegas trip. We had a good time, but obviously I came down with a bit of a cold or something. I don't know what it is, but I was just congested the whole time. My ears never popped coming down the plane the entire time. So dude, it was the weirdest
That
thing.
sucks.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I had like
that's
muffled. I had
ooh.
muffled hearing the entire time, and then we would go to the hotel and get in the elevator. We were on like the 43rd floor, so we have one of those elevators that like skips the first 30 floors. And all of a sudden, dude, we get up, my ears, I can hear. Everything's great. When I get it back up to the hotel room, we're good. As soon as I come back down, no, ears get all stuffed up again, dude. I was trying everything, dude. I was like plugging my nose, doing trying to pop my ears, like yawn, chewing gum, taking Sudafed, everything, dude. Couldn't get it figured out. And
Flying with congestion is the worst.
yeah, dude, I was just like,
Yeah.
But I'll talk a little bit more about like gambling and stuff like that. We're going to be recording a drinking champagne, and we like to keep that a little light and talk more. Talk horse racing, but
a little light.
yeah. Well, I mean, we'll also.
I mean,
we'll
it's
also
like
make sure
it's like an hour long show, and you talk 5 minutes of horse racing and 55 minutes of Andrew talking about Lord, whatever his face was that won some race 3 months ago.
Yeah, and obviously Mark's favorite like place to catch strays. Because that's basically
yeah.
At one point, I thought the entire point of the podcast was to just insult Mark, but
For a few months, I'm pretty sure it was.
But yeah, I see Uncle Sully's in here. He's saying that greetings. I'm doing a great job of sucking it up. Mark, is it me or did someone trim the beard? Caleb, my black-eyed Susan hero, you look marvelous.
Oh.
So obviously, giving out that nice winner there in the black-eyed Susan last stream.
Yeah, that was a daymaker.
That was a really nice call, by the way. I mean, in hindsight, that was for me that was a hard horse to come up with, but mad respect on getting there.
Thank you.
Apparently, Flavian Pratt is from Peoria.
Sounds about right. Would make sense.
But yeah, we got a lot of stuff to cover. So,
I say, do we really?
I mean, we have stuff to cover. All right. We took a look at the racing for this weekend, and it seemed like, I don't know, it seemed a little weird. I think Churchill's got an okay card.
Penn's got a pretty good card tomorrow evening, from what I looked at. There's a few stakes races other places, but this is probably the best of. If you want to look at sequences and you want to look at the most quality card, this is probably the most engaging one. But again, there's a lot of horses that are being held in reserve for the following weekend, where you're going to have the Belmont Stakes. So I think people are, it's good for what it is, but this is a little bit of Midwestern Santa Anita field size wise, so it's not
which is rare for Kentucky.
It is. It's weird for Churchill.
It is
usually
for Churchill.
Get bigger fields than this.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm sure we'll talk about this more on the podcast tonight, because it is one of the topics I want to talk to Andrew about. Mark saying that this is Midwest Santa Anita. It rings true in more ways than just one, with the recent issues that they've been having with the track. So it'll be interesting to see if anything happens. I'm not a vet. I'm not a trainer. I'm not anything. I can't look at a horse and tell you anything about it. All I can say is I hope that it gets fixed. And I
I
think
will tell you,
everyone does.
I will find it is peak horse racing that they basically copied rules that NYRA and the California Racing Board have had in place for a number of years, and basically pulled we're going to do the minimum to try to fix the problem and just hope it goes away. And that's very much what it felt like. It was everybody else did this 5 years ago. Oh yeah, let's do that thing. And like
and I don't know if I'm like misquoting or if I misread this quote and like it was like a fever dream, but like it was like I think the Heisa was it Lisa Lazarus from Heisa goes like her only statement on the thing was basically something like, I think if we asked Churchill to shut down, they would. Like that was it. Like that was like her whole
Oh no, wasn't she the one that had the line of "I guess it's now reached the point of concern" or something like
I don't
that?
know.
It was the most tone deaf response that you could ever possibly have.
I don't know. It's some nonsense. And like Caleb, I can already see just the look on Caleb's face where like he's like me, man. He just wants to bet on these things. Like
No, I mean, it's a shame what's going on at Churchill, and it's a shame that they're doing nothing. They're doing things, but things that don't really matter. So it's who know. I don't have the answers either, though. So I mean, it's hard for me to really weigh in.
Yeah, but let's. I think we're gonna kind of work through probably races 5 through 11 here at Churchill. Contrary to Stephen Fox's belief that since these are all like 6 or 7 horse fields, this should probably take us like 7 hours to cover all these races. I think we're gonna try and get through these pretty quick. Guys in the chat, obviously, if you got questions or comments, or if you guys want to toss out your picks or whatever, or join in the discussion, feel free. We'll keep an eye on chat. We'll highlight as we go. But we're gonna start with the Grade 3 here. The Grade 3 Regret, race 5 here, going a mile and 1/8 on the turf for fillies 3 years old. You got a couple of short prices in here in Papilio and Mission of Joy. But kind of the theme I think for this day is going to be kind of small field sizes for some of these races. I believe Sabalenka was kind of a horse that had a little bit of steam. Was it last year? I think had run in a couple of graded stakes races, but I looked at this race and I didn't have to look very much further than I think the first horse in the PPs here, where you get an Eddie Keneally horse with Luis Saez aboard. Looks like lone speed in this spot. My only question with this horse, and the only reason why I can't in good faith just stone cold single this horse is, I mean, she looks a little slow, doesn't she? Like speed figure wise. On Brisnet, she does not look great. I mean, she looks significantly slow. So maybe I'll have to lean on you, Mark. I mean, time form and DRF, what are we looking like for the one?
She's a tiny bit too slow, but I think when you look at a horse like this, she's got 2 starts. They obviously tried to get her on turf first time out, didn't happen. She's only got really 1 turf start, and won her debut on dirt in the rained off Ellis Park race. Did everything she was supposed to do in that Keeneland race, stretches out here, comes right back. I'm not as worried about the speed figures in this kind of thing. It's not like she has 10 starts and she needs to take a step forward. She just could be a horse that is improving and, is lightly raced at this point in her career. And I think she makes all the sense in the world. I landed on the same exact horse as Josh for all the reasons Josh mentioned. I think when you look at this race, you have to decide what you make of the Edgewood. A number of these horses in here come out of the Edgewood. And I don't really know. I mean, maybe I don't know what to make of the Edgewood. I know Caleb is better at giving a take on, the common race and what do I think of it. But I just kind of thought that Edgewood wasn't an amazingly impressive race. I didn't feel like anything went wrong. I didn't feel like there was a major pace meltdown or something like that. So I wanted the fresh face, and I ended up in the same horse as Josh and the one Miss Riddler with Saez with controlling speed.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of go off of Mark's point, I do agree that what you think of the Edgewood is going to determine kind of how you approach this race. I don't think it's a stretch to say this one is going to be pretty universal lone speed unless Ricardo gets real brave on the 6 or something unusual happens here. The horse does need to run faster, but she does have a right to improve. Second off the layoff and getting that start under her belt. But what I will say is that out of the Edgewood, I mean, the horse that I want is unfortunately the favorite here, number 3, Mission of Joy. She had legitimate trouble in that race. I mean, she was kind of in a pack of horses and a wall of horses turning for home. She had to checked off of heels pretty badly, and then just really never got clear until literally inside of the 16th pole before she finally got taken to the outside and got some clear run. And she was actually making up ground very late in that race. I mean, you can kind of see how she went from 6 by 3 to 3rd by 1. If she had a clear run, I think there's no doubt in my mind that she wins that race. Heavenly Sunday won that race, gate to wire, as she got no pace pressure and had a 3-length cushion all the way around. So Mission of Joy with Rosario doing Rosario things just left her with a bit too much to do. I think you're getting a big rider upgrade here to Tyler Gaffleone. I think that he can have her closer to the pace if he needs to, as evidenced by some of those earlier races. And I think she is the horse to beat. I think at 6-1, Miss Riddler is extremely interesting. I don't know if you get that, but I think she's a very interesting player in here. But for me, Mission of Joy is the horse to beat.
So let me get this straight. You're taking the Tampa shipper.
I am. Yeah, I wasn't. I didn't like her in the Edgewood, but she ran a good race.
See,
so that should tell you something about that horse.
And I don't know. I am using another horse in the spot, and it's another horse out of the Edgewood, and it's the 5 Papilio, and I mean we've memed on Mr. Cassie quite a bit, and this horse I think is like kind of quintessential Mark Cassie. But man, if this horse just straightens out at any point, I think this horse becomes probably one of the top horses, if not the top horse in this kind of division. 3-year-old filly on the turf, because I mean that Appalachian was super green, and still got up, and obviously kind of still had similar issues last time in the Edgewood. So taking a short price, hoping that the horse kind of figures it out, is probably not great. But I think out of the horses coming out of the Edgewood, this is the one I want. Because, and I guess you kind of said, like, make the same case for like the 3, right, where you saw a little bit of trouble for the 3. With the 5, I think if the 5 kind of figures it out and learns to be a racehorse, I think she just becomes a really, really good horse.
Yeah, my issue with Papilio is that she's clearly a head case, and hasn't figured out how to put it together, and B, it didn't look like the stretch out did her any good in the last race. It looked like she wanted to stop, and honestly, she backed up in the stretch. So maybe second time going long, maybe she handles it better. You could say that maybe that she kind of made a funky 4-wide move coming into the stretch. Maybe she gets a better trip here with a little bit of a smaller field, but I almost really wonder if she doesn't want to go this far and almost kind of wants a cut back and wants maybe a 7 furlongish sort of trip on turf. She's clearly talented. She's put up some speed figures that are impressive, but I don't think they've quite figured out what she is yet.
Yeah, I begrudgingly, overwhelmingly agree with Mark. Out of the Edgewood, I thought she's the short price you don't want, personally. I singled her in that race, thinking, okay, if she'll straighten out, she'll win. And she's done the same thing 3 times in a row in her 3 local starts. And I'm done trying to think she's going to do something different. I think she's just immature at this point of her career. And I agree. I think she had the cleanest trip of, even like the horse, like number 2, a girl named Charlie, had some trouble in that race, so I thought Papilio kind of had no excuse there. She caused any of her own trouble. So she's one I'll probably be against.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know, and we're going to prove Stephen right by talking, 6-horse fielded for a half hour. But I thought of the horses that were a little bit interesting. I thought that if you want that 1-round closer, a girl named Charlie was a little interesting. She had a brutal trip in the Edgewood as well. She was definitely the horse that got blocked quite a bit. I don't know if she's able to take enough of a step forward here. but she should, less horses theoretically should get a better trip, and she's literally improved every single start of her career. So I would rather take a horse that I feel has more upside and probably handles the stretch out better than a horse that I think might want to cut back and is clearly a head case and is going to be a short priced favorite.
So who's like the only horse we can talk about? The 4? I mean, isn't that the other outsider?
This 4 has a tendency to get bet. When you look at the prices she's gone off in her last couple, I don't get it. I've never thought she was anything special. It's one of those Augustin stable, Jonathan Thomas horses that take a bunch of money and maybe don't quite develop, but she's not for me.
All right. Race 6. The Aristides here. We're going to be going 6 furlongs for 4-year-olds and up on the dirt. And this is a really interesting race because you have the 2 short prices are both coming first off from Dubai. And Sibelius, who obviously won that Golden Shaheen, and Gunite, who I thought ran a pretty good race there in the Golden Shaheen, and also at the dirt sprint, coming second to Elite Power there. You got the Churchill Specialist in Bango here at 2-1, and then you got Tejano Twist, who's no slouch himself, and a horse, the 5 Strava, and I don't know, Mark. I'm kind of interested where you went here because I think I probably maybe I'm zagging too much here, but curious where you kind of landed.
Apparently, we're zagging in the same direction, actually. So that's scary because it's happened twice in a row now. No, I mean, Sibelius did everything right in in that Golden Shaheen. Obviously, cashing the getting all the money. Has won 3 in a row, but I tend to fade these Dubai that the old school Dubai bounce, and it's one of those things. I fade these shippers until they prove they can do it. And historically, that move going from Dubai, coming first start back in the States, that they normally sort of need one. So for that reason, Sibelius and Gunn, I tossed both of them in the spot. And after that, I sort of ran into, okay, who do you use? I mean, Bango does love to win here, and this is Bango's trip. But I end up in the same spot that Josh did in Tejano Twist in the 2. Horse probably needs a little bit of a setup, and I think arguably Sibelius, or I shouldn't say arguably, Sibelius is going to go. Sibelius has got a lot of speed, and I think somebody like Gunite is going to want to be forwardly placed as well. So, is this going to completely come apart? I don't really know, but I think Tejano Twist, although the horse does not love Churchill, is a horse that seems to be a better horse at 6 furlongs than at 7. So I think this is the right trip. Horse is fresh. I don't think any of those last couple of races were horribly terrible or anything else. So, I guess I'm picking the outsider, and I'll stick with the 2.
Caleb?
Yeah, I don't have anything creative here. I mean, if you can throw out, the 2 or 3 short prices here, then I think a horse like Tejano Twist is a good differentiator in this sequence, if that's your opinion. Unfortunately, I think he's kind of going the wrong direction. I mean, ever since that impressive effort in the Whitmore, it sort of feels like that came out of nowhere, and he sort of regressed back lately to the numbers that we're more accustomed to seeing him run. Um, I was really surprised, and maybe this kind of feels like maybe a case of trying to over wise guy the morning line, but I was really surprised Sibelius was 5-2 in the morning line. I thought this horse would have been maybe 8-5, 9-5, along with Gunite being the other one in that range, and Bango being probably more in the 3-1 range. So if I get 5-2 on Sibelius, I'd be extremely interested in that horse for a win bet, because I do think that him and Gunite are the 2 horses in this field to beat. Again, that's nothing really creative, but Sibelius ran a phenomenal race last time out. Came from well off the pace in that Golden Shaheen, despite the fact that this is a horse that's done a lot of his prior running up on the lead or just near it. So it does give Junior some options in here. I do think that in that Golden Shaheen, Sibelius took advantage of a pretty good rail and was able to sneak up the fence on a day when it seemed like the rail was quite good. Gunite was kind of hung out wide most of the time. He had a really wide draw from the parking lot, and probably just lost a little bit too much ground, and was wide off that fence and just kind of flattened out late. I kind of liked Gunite better given that setup, thinking he was kind of against the bias a little bit, but at 9-5 versus 5-2, I mean, I probably go with Sibelius at that point. But either way, I think the race goes through one of those two, and I don't have a strong opinion as to which one it is. Gun to my head, I'd probably go with Gunite, just being the younger horse who probably has a little more upside. After Sibelius came through with that career top plus shipping back from Dubai, I'd probably trust Gunite a little bit more, so I would go there if I had to.
This is probably if so. Luckily, I think this race is only part of the pick six. So, and I don't think there's a force out this week. So, I'm not like this race. I don't think really fits anywhere. Maybe I'll have a couple of like doubles, or if I'm playing a pick three or something. I'm gonna toss the top three choices, and I'm gonna go with Tejano Twist and with Strava. I think Strava might be a little bit sneaky here. Ran a really nice race at Churchill in that optional claimer last time out. And so coming second off the layoff, obviously that was a kind of a career best race, but that was first race at 4. Horse has been working really well. So I don't see any reason why this horse can't take a step forward. And I think if Strava takes a step forward, I think he fits right in with Gunite and Sibelius, let's say B plus game, right? Like if Sibelius or Gunite both either of them show up cranked and ready to go for this race, I don't think there's any beating them. I've seen this happen so many times with these really good horses coming back from Dubai and just not firing, that I think that Strava might be the one that can maybe sneak up and maybe steal this race. Obviously, he's going to have to be coming from off it. This horse, for the most part, when sprinting, has been a little bit further back, but did wire that 7 furlong race last time out with Flavian Pratt aboard, and now you get a huge jock upgrade from Flavian Pratt to Luis Saez. Might be the biggest jock upgrade, otherwise, that you can see. I mean, unless it was maybe Flo or Julian or something, maybe, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think I think Strava makes a ton of sense here. So I'm going to be using him mostly. Honestly, if Bango was a little bit better of a price, I'd be more interested in him. But I have
You're
a
going to
feeling
get a
people
lot
are going
better
to
price
see.
there. You're going to get a ton better. There's
think
no.
So?
I think Caleb is spot on. I think Sibelius. I think you can flip the morning line on Sibelius and Gunny. I think Sibelius ends up 9-5, or 5, and Gunny ends up going off at 5-2. And then I think Bango is 4-1, 5-1, something like that. Yeah, I think the morning line is just way wrong.
I mean, I would probably need like 4-1 on Bango, to kind of to pique my interest on this. Um, I mean, he's run some really really nice races, especially at Churchill. But I would hope that, or my hope is that people see Gunite and Sibelius and just bet them both off the board. And if that's the case, if I were playing the pick six, maybe I'd use all three, all but the top two choices. But
Well, and I also put it this way: I could see Sibelius being. I think 5-2 is absolutely. There's no way Sibelius goes off at 5-2. But I could see Sibelius being 9-5. I could also see Sibelius being 3-5. I have absolutely no idea where the public money goes here. So yeah,
He's gonna be between 3-2 and 2-1, and I think Gunite's going to be between 3-2 and 2-1 also.
you're gonna think it's gonna be that flat? Okay,
I think it will be, and then I think Bango's 5-2, 3-1. I don't think Tejano Twist or Strava get bet. So I think Josh, if that's your opinion, I mean, there is like a middle pick 4 in the 5th race or whatever else. I mean, if that was my opinion, I'd be finding a way to play this race because I think horizontally that's a good separator.
yeah, I mean, I've just seen it happen so many times that these top two choices come, like horses like these top two come back, and they. I'm not saying that they're going to run off the screen bad or anything like that, but I don't know if they run their B race. I think a horse like Strava and even like Bango, if Bango runs his best race, I think that they fit in just as equally, and you're going to be getting what 3, 4, 5 times the price on them. So I don't know. Maybe I'm overemphasizing the Dubai bounce, but I don't know. I think there's opportunity in this race, and especially because it's not part of that pick five, and it's going to be maybe part of a smaller horizontal. I think this is a great spot to kind of play against because, like, unless you're playing the pick six, like, this race doesn't really connect anything. But that's more coming. I think that's more thinking of it like from a sequence standpoint, than
Sure.
than just than just like who can actually win the race, right? Like if Gun Knight comes in and just completely errors, like, am I going to be like, oh, I didn't see that coming? Like, no, but I think that there's a little bit of value in this race trying to play against. But anything else in this race since we talked about all 5 runners once again? All right, cool. The Autobahn, Mark's favorite race, because basically anywhere Mark goes is an Autobahn, because he just drives like a fucking maniac. So, mile and the eighth on the turf here for 3-year-olds, and you got a couple of quote unquote name horses, Scooby Quando, who ran on the American turf on Derby Day. You got a Todd Pletcher first time U.S. Sherrar is 9-5 on the morning line, and the winner of the American turf, Webslinger, 8-5 here. Caleb, where did you kind of land here?
Once again, like when I talked to you guys pre-stream, I'm like, yeah, I did the whole sequence in like 15 minutes. I just I struggled to get around a lot of the short prices, and in this race, I have a hard time getting around Webslinger, the number 7. Um, some may argue, if you missed the wedding, don't go to the funeral, but this horse was really only that long, pretty much in that last start. Prior to that, his last 4 starts, he was bet. This isn't a one-hit wonder kind of horse. This is a gelding who's shown up in some big spots, ran some good races. And I thought his American turf was really a nice race. I mean, he beat Far Bridge. I mean, you can say what you want about the ride that Far Bridge got in that field or in that race, but nevertheless, that was a good field. I mean, probably one of the best fields we've seen of 3-year-old turf horses so far. And Webslinger got the job done at a nice price from not an easy draw to do that from the 12 post. I just think he's versatile. He's able to come from well off the pace, but he's not going to be 10 lengths last. So even though the pace complexion of this race does seem to be a little bit on the moderate side, to be sure, I'm not that concerned. I think that Webslinger is just good enough and classy enough to get the job done. And the only reason that I could even feel decent about using him is that I have no idea why this Pletcher horse is supposed to be 9-5. So he won't be on any of my tickets. I hope that he takes money though, so I can get a half decent price on Webslinger.
Yeah, so taking the opposite side of that, my main issue with Webslinger is that Webslinger is an every other type horse. Webslinger does not seem to fire 2 back-to-back sort of A performances, and that American turf was a career top by 1.5 miles. So I just really think that whether the horse bounces or the horse just needs another start, and to bring his A game in the next one after that, I think I'm against Webslinger, and I landed on the 6, Sherrar, the Pletcher horse that Caleb doesn't think anything of. The horse won 2 in a row in Dubai. Over the winter. I realize this is first in the United States, and after I bashed horses in the last race, I'm now going to single this horse here. I just don't think there's a lot in this race. I think this is a pretty soft field, and it's a horse that I know can get the distance, and seems to be in really good form. Pletcher seems to stick this one here, or sees fit to stick this one here, and Todd does tend to spot these first timers in his barn fairly well. So, I thought Sherrar made some sense, and a horse that seems to kind of be improving every start. I'll take the spot, or I'll take a shot against Webslinger in the spot.
I can respect against Webslinger, but that 6 horse is such a toss. I mean, those Dubai races are so bad. Like, she needs to find 25 time form points to get in the conversation.
Yeah, but Timeform doesn't do the conversion on the Timeform US though, right? So
Even if
it's
you
80.
do,
It's
I mean,
89
he
plus.
is so slow. He
She
is
ran
so
basically.
slow.
He basically paired in 89. So you add the 19 to it, and it puts him in the
I thought
consideration
you
here,
That's
subtract
not how that
19 from it.
works.
isn't it? Is it plus 16, plus 19,
I
something
don't.
like that?
I'm
There's a
still
number.
convinced there is no flat conversion, but
You're thinking
regardless,
of Timeform US to DRF, which is like
to
minus
Is that what I'm
5,
19.
thinking?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, the Timeform US and Timeform International are not on the same scale, but regardless, like those races are bad. That field is bad. This horse is bad. Um, this field is bad. That's the only saving grace. But I don't want to
Exactly.
take a
Yeah.
bad horse in a bad field at 9-5. So I would need 10-1.
I do have a question though. Who and how much? Who's Ian and how much are you paying him, Mark? Because he's also on Shirar here.
Don't know who Ian is, but I think we're
Uh,
friends now. So
well, I want to try a new alert out here.
oh no.
I'm with Caleb on Webslinger. I think Webslinger looks really really tough in this spot. That was a very impressive win. I think went. I don't want to say went against the flow of the race. That's not the right word, but I didn't necessarily just have like a garden trip, right? Coming from ended up being a 12 post, I think, after scratches. So yeah, that was really impressive. And it was a bit of a jump up there, but you see these 3-year-old turf horses make those jumps around this time of year. So if Webslinger runs that same race, I mean, I think wins this race pretty easily. However, I'm very interested in this Chris Hartman horse, Desert Duke here. Also ran in that American turf and did sat really close up to the pace and ended up fading and kind of falling back. And I think most people are going to look at that race and be like, all right, well, yeah, obviously this horse is just doesn't want anything, doesn't is not going to be able to wire a field of any quality. And I have very good news for people who think that this is not a field of quality. So although Webslinger does loom, I think, a little large in this race, if for some reason Desert Duke just gets out there loose, which I mean, it looked to me like was going to get out there pretty loose. I mean,
What do they have Scooby Quando rated as?
Scooby Quando is a presser type, I think.
Okay.
Let me pull up. What number is Scooby Quando? 3. Yeah, he's a presser. But I mean, if you look at this optics plot, I mean, Caleb, how do I not bet this 5?
I mean, the optics does make the 5 more appealing. I will give you credit there. My concern was the LASIX question, but the optics looks good. I'll give you that.
And I will say with the 7 Web Slinger last time out, this is exactly where he sat on the plot, and I think I don't remember if we talked. We probably talked briefly about him, like, hey, like, he looks pretty good on the plot.
It was a huge field, yeah, and we just kind of skimmed it.
But yeah, I don't know. I think Web Slinger is pretty tough here, but man, that's a big old Q1 square for a turf race here. So yeah, so I'll definitely have the 5 on all my tickets. I will not be using this horse as a B. This will definitely be an A, just because if this horse hits, I want to be live in the rest of the legs. And yeah, and I'll be using Web Slinger as well. But yeah, nothing else in this race like even remotely interests me. Any of the other horses in here, I just thought this was a pretty weak field. Anything else you guys want to add?
No, it's all for me.
I can't fucking believe Mark took this stupid 6 horse.
You had to. It was
like
a buy horse. That's like you taking a 3 cherry horse. That's Mark's 3 cherries. It's like 3 jars of honey.
Right. It's like all of a sudden, dude, there's just like some random French horse shipping in and at Saratoga, and Mark's like, yeah, I'm gonna use this horse. Third cousin's fourth removed was.
How's that normally work out for me, by the way?
That Japanese horse that got run down at the Arc, something. What's that other pre the opera. I don't know, whatever other shit you say, Mark. I did a good job.
It was accurate. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's move on to the Shawnee here. Going a mile and 16th here for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up, presented by Leslie Nope. Oh wait, that's Pawnee. Excuse me. But yeah, we got an interesting little field here. You got some kind of quote unquote name horses. Travel Column, obviously had a pretty decent 3-year-old campaign. Pauline's Pearl, probably one of the better, if not one of the better older fillies we have in training. And you got a 2-1 favorite, I believe, Frost Point here. You got Hidden Connection. So yeah, it's a pretty decent field. I mean, I think this is definitely a solid Grade 3 field for the older filly division. But yeah, Mark, where did you kind of land here?
Somehow I knew you were going to call on me the time where
because I didn't want to go.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to go either because I have prices. So I hope that somebody else will cover.
All right, you know what?
The horses I didn't want.
Yeah, I can go, Mark. I really think Frost Point. I think Frost Point looks really good in this spot. I'm a little shocked, I think, at the price. At the fact that she's 2-1, I would have thought maybe a horse like. I mean, I know Pauline's Pearl maybe is a little bit off form right now, but I thought maybe kind of like on the name factor, maybe she would take a little bit more money. But I don't know. I think Frost Point's kind of coming in really really good form. I always have a hard time with these filly races because at least on Brisnet, a lot of these horses just look the same, right? Like if you scroll through, let's just look at Frost Point, right? Is running 95, 97, 98. You go through all these horses' PPs, they're all running these same numbers, right? Hidden Connection ran a 97 last time out in defeat. I mean, you go back, Moonswag was 12-1, is running 93s. 63 Caliber's got a 100, but that was at Aqueduct, so you can't trust that. But you go through a lot of these horses. Pauline's Pearl ran a 99 in that Houston Ladies Classic, and that race probably wins in here. Travel Column's got a 101 going back, so I don't know. I have a hard time with this because I think the 6 is coming in with really nice form, with good speed figures. I think is sits pretty well on the plot. And let me pull that up here real quick. Yeah, 6 is right here. This kind of like stalker square right here, big old square. I mean, the horse looks good, but I don't know. I haven't looked at buyers. I haven't looked at time form. I mean, unless that horse is a huge overlay in those figures, I don't see how this horse is 2-1. This is probably going to be that a horse that like looks like every other horse, but ends up like winning by 7 lengths anyways. But I couldn't keep the 6 off. I think the 6 probably sits the best trip. And I don't know, the horse is just winning. The horse is in great form. You can't really knock anything against the horse. I do have 1B, which is the 7 Hidden Connection. And this is really more of, like I said, like a plot play. He seems to be, or she seems to be the only horse that has a little bit of kick left going late. That's going to be forwardly placed. I mean, is going to be right on the lead if not just off. Maybe if it plays a little speed favoring, maybe just gets first run and doesn't give a horse like Frost Point enough time to catch up. But not that Frost Point's going to be coming from very very far back, but sometimes these horses like these pressers or horses just off the pace. It's just whoever gets the first move in, maybe, and sometimes that just wins. So I had Hidden Connection here as a B, but I got Frost Point as a lone A here. I'm gonna take the Capitan in this spot and take the chalk. But Caleb, where did you land before we let Mark talk about his prices?
Yeah, I can be quick because I agree with everything you said, Josh. I think Pauline's Pearl's a takeout reducer in here. I don't get why she's supposed to be 5-2. I wouldn't bet her at 5-1. I want nothing to do with Pauline's Pearl, really. I think Frost Point's probably the horse to beat. I am a little bit skeptical of these 5-year-old, horses that all of a sudden get really good. It's kind of hard for me to understand where that improvement has come from. Although she's always been somewhat of an unsound horse, given how lightly raced she's been over the years. So perhaps she had some health issues and is just now finally getting to show her stuff. I don't know, but those are ones that I will use Frost Point, but I have enough reservations that she's not going to be a stone cold single for me or anything like that. And the one I am interested in, using as another horse is the one you covered, Hidden Connection. I think she's a better horse when she has a target as opposed to trying to race on the lead. So I assume Travel Column is going to run out there and probably just get loose a little bit. I don't think she's the same horse after the barn changes anymore, so I don't really think she can win. But I do think that she'll provide a good target for Hidden Connection to track off of, work out a nice trip, probably sitting second or third. And in the event that Frost Point just doesn't quite fire, I think that Hidden Connections probably are the next most likely. So, yeah, I see it the same way you do, Josh.
Yeah, so I'll agree with both of you on Pauline's Pearl. I think she's just really off form, and I don't know what's going on there, but she just hasn't seemed to be herself last couple of starts. So I'll agree that she's a takeout reducer in this spot. So we'll probably put her right in the winner's circle. Frostpoint is a weird horse for me because I realize she's won 3 in a row, but man, has Bill Mott ever campaigned this horse really, really bizarrely. Godolphin homebred, normally these horses get good, and Bill, and Mott has no issues sticking them in the deep end of the pool and putting them in really stiff company. And this is a horse that broke its maiden at first ask and then went, like 3 allowance tries in a row, won the 4th allowance, then, in an optional claim. And it's been a very bizarrely campaigned horse. It seems like I don't know if he's been ducking company or just trying to find her soft spots. I'm not saying this is a hard spot at all. I don't think the company here is super, super tough, but I just really kind of wonder what the deal is with her. Maybe she's better than these are, and maybe I'm just wrong. But I just wanted to go someplace else because speed figures for her didn't really tower. It doesn't seem, it seems like that they gave her a 117 time form and that double dog dare last out. Maybe as a 5-year-old, she's turned the corner and is suddenly taking a huge step forward, but that was a pretty massive top, at least time form wise. And it seems a little odd to have that happen as a 5-year-old. So I think she's also probably very likely to bounce off that effort. So I ended up on 2 horses. One of them, Caleb's already dunked on, who's probably my top choice, and that's Travel Column. I like Travel Column here stretching back out. I don't know why they decided that horse with Frosted on the top was a 6.5 and 7 furlong horse. I realized that Belle Dam was pretty damn bad, which is the only real 2-turn effort that they've tried with her. But she did some good work in the Brad Cox barn, and I realized maybe it's just the Brad Cox barn, but going these further trips, and she's got a win at Churchill going, a mile and a 16th. So, or was it Church? Yeah, I think it was Churchill going a mile and a 16th. So, I want to give her another shot on the stretch out, especially at that kind of price. I think she gets somewhat lost on the board, and has a pedigree to say that this trip should work. Churchill has a tendency to be speed favoring on some of their bigger days. I don't know if this is a bigger day for them where they're going to juice out hell out of the track, but I would imagine they're going to go to the front end and see how brave she can be. So I thought Travel Column was pretty interesting. And the other horse I'm interested in here is the Cox horse, and that's Idiomatic, the 4. This horse was in really good form at Turfway over the winter. And that Ruffian wasn't a bad effort. Ran second to Pass the Champagne, and it was a bit of a follow the leader type effort where the leader basically just wired the field, and she just kind of just could never quite get to Pass the Champagne. So and I don't know what Cox has here, but at 5-1, I'd be willing to pay to pay a little bit to try it out and see if this one has some talent. And again, another horse that pedigree does say should like this trip. So I thought those 2 were the 2 interesting sort of other horses in this field.
Yeah, I looked at the Idiomatic for a long time, and I don't know if I'll end up using her or not. But she is interesting. I'll agree with you there. And it just seems like she's just Yeah, not necessarily on figures, but just on results. She just seems much better on the synthetic than she does on the dirt. But if you get 5-1, I think that's a good enough price to take that risk.
Yeah, I mean, I thought her dirt starts were fine. She didn't win. I'm agreeing with you there. And she obviously is what was she 4 for 4 on the synth or 4 for 5 on the synth? Obviously she seems to have done better stuff there. I don't know if was she facing softer company or maybe that's a surface she really loves. But I would give her another chance in the dirt here.
It's a little interesting, right? With Idiomatic, won the Latonia, which is the prep for the Bourbonette, right? I think it's the Bourbonette. Is that the right race?
I don't know, Josh.
It's the race that horse that picked up a lot of steam for the Oaks, the Turfway race. But I think it's the Bourbonette Oaks.
I know who you're talking about.
But I think the Latonia is the prep for the big Turfway Oaks prep. But we see no horse didn't run there. Horse obviously didn't run in the Oaks. Ran in the Ruffian instead. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting. But yeah, I don't know. The campaign's kind of weird. But maybe there was an issue or something and they decided not to run in the Bourbonette. But yeah, I don't know. It's always tough with these horses that do super well at Turfway, and then to see what they do when they leave Turfway. But we saw what Two Phils did, right? And that's all that matters.
We'll see what he does again this summer in
the Ohio Derby.
Ohio Derby.
How long are we gonna have to hear about this, Andrew?
Hey, in fairness, don't you guys? I believe I was on record of saying, I don't, I like Two Phils. I don't know if he can win the Derby. Well, actually, he can, but it's probably going to be the Ohio or Indiana. So we'll see what happens. But let's keep on going. Race 9, the Starbucks Stakes here, Grade 3 for 4-year-olds and up, going a mile and 16th on the turf. And you got some pretty interesting horses in here. I believe your favorite is Set Piece at 8-5. And hold on, let me get my alert ready here. Because oh boy, man,
really?
Talk about a takeout reducer. Set Piece
wow.
is the biggest money burner Brad Cox has ever put out. This horse just loves to burn people's money. So I cannot believe that you guys are like really like wow on this one. But I much prefer the horse on the inside of Set Piece, the 6 Royal Patronage. All right, Mark. I mean, I guess talk to me about Set Piece.
I just think Set Piece absolutely towers over this field. He's 3-6 at the distance, 4-7 at Churchill. This is clearly his home track. He clearly loves the turf here, and he's. On figures, he absolutely towers over this field. He's I don't know. He ran that last figure. I realized he didn't win, but he came back as a 123, and that's something like. I don't know, 10 points faster than, somebody like, I think you mentioned, or you mentioned Royal Patronage, right? So he's only 5 points faster than Royal Patronage. So I just think Set Piece is much, much better than everybody else in this field. I thought if I need a single in the sequence, I'm going to single Set Piece. I think he's the horse I have the most confidence for in either of these pick 5 or pick 6 sequences. Don't have much more to say about it than that.
Yeah, I agree with Mark, and I'll just add that if you watch that race that he ran, he should have won by 2. I mean, Florent Drew absolutely turned his brain off in that race. Just never gave him a shot. I mean, just it's one thing to be last, but also in traffic and then just all over the place. I mean, just a horrible ride. And that was a slow pace that absolutely held together up front. I mean, 24:49 going a mile at Churchill. So. Yeah, I mean, I think Set Piece is just tons the best here. And from the looks of things, the pace should be swift. I mean, I'm expecting Get Smokin', Classic Causeway, and Tiberius Mercurius to all kind of go to the front. So I think set pace ought to get a much better pace setup today than he did last time. Smaller field, so Drew has less ways to find trouble, hopefully. And I just think this horse is much the best in this. A pretty soft rendition
Yep.
of the Latte Stakes.
Couldn't agree more.
I just cannot believe what I'm hearing. So, you mean to tell me a horse that hasn't won at a track other than Pimlico since Biden's been in office, all of a sudden is just going to figure it out? I mean, set piece is what only has won 2 races in the past like 3 years, and they were both at Pimlico. Pimlico's like the fakest track out there. It's like a step below Laurel. I don't know, man.
I think this is one of the softest fields he's faced, in the last 2 years. Quite honestly, I mean, there's no Santon here, there's no Annapolis here, there's no Hong Kong Harry here. He's just been running versus better horses.
Hong Kong Harry wasn't winning this race because he's another horse.
Yeah, but he lost. He lost on what, Sunday, Monday.
He lost last week. I don't know what day.
This horse lost the Order of Australia by like 13 lengths.
Okay, maybe I do need to downgrade him now.
I mean,
that freaking Breeders' Cup.
Ran 7th behind Town Cruise, Space Traveler, and Raging Bull. He beat Tango though.
There you go.
I don't know. I don't see it. But
I mean, I'm fine if somebody says like I don't like set piece, and I think you bring up a good point, Josh. But my problem was, where else do you go? I don't love Royal Patronage at all. I think he beat a pretty soft allowance field. Prior to that, I mean, if you want to talk about fake tracks, he lost at Colonial. I mean, they still time races on a sundial out there. Like his only, 2 races, off Lasix were extremely poor. I mean, I don't want to go away from a favorite. I don't like to a second choice. I hate slightly less. Yeah. And that was kind of my problem, is like, I tried, and Josh probably knows, but I tried to get back to Kentucky Ghost in this race, but I couldn't quite do it.
Kentucky Ghost scratched out of today to run here, so
I tried real hard to get to Kentucky Ghost.
By the way, Josh, just to prove you wrong, he did win the Wise Dan in June of 2021.
Okay.
At Churchill.
Sorry, man. Don't go that far back. Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I have a hard time with it. I mean, Royal Patronage has got a really nice Briz Fig last time out. I know it was on the allowance field, and he was favored in there. And hey, he won with Rosario aboard. So I mean, Rosario to anybody right now is probably a jock upgrade. So, but you get Johnny V here. So I don't know. I thought that he made a bit of sense here. Kind of as a fresher face than old set piece here. I think I know you say that the pace is probably going to be hot. With Get Smoking in here, and Tiberius Mercurius and Classic Causeway. I think I'm going to use both the 3. I had the 4 written down just before, but I think I'm going to use both the 3 and the 4 as kind of B types in this race. The 6 is my lone A, just because if something stupid happens, maybe one of these horses doesn't go. Maybe we end up with something. We do have a lot of Naira jocks here, so maybe we end up with some Naira shenanigans. I did mostly use the 4 because Luis Saez was aboard, and if there's a turf route and he's on a speed horse, I always feel like you kind of got to use it a little bit. So that's a big part of it. I think Classic Causeway has shown at this point that his best races have come on the turf. They're not necessarily always winning races, but when he's run on the dirt, it hasn't exactly looked great. So we'll see what happens when he kind of goes back to the turf here. So I'm a little interested in him. I think the price is just kind of, vomit in my mouth a little bit. But if we're talking straight horizontally on horses who I think have the best chances to win, I would probably include the 3 as kind of a B. But yeah, I got the full on fade on set piece in here. So I'm lone A with the 6, and I'll probably use a little bit of 3 and 4 here. Were there any other horses you guys liked, or you guys are just all full on in on set piece, huh?
I'm AC here. I had set piece on top, and then I ended up using Tiberius Mercurius and Royal Patronage, just C types. So
The 3 to 1 C.
If Kentucky Ghost wins, he's going to be on my ticket somewhere. So I have him as probably a C.
All right. Race 10, the feature, the blame. We got the return of Rattle and Roll here, Mask Parade, Barber Road. I mean, all kinds of has-beens in here. Santon trying dirt for the first time.
Return? Didn't he run like 3 weeks ago?
On turf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you just got a lot of just kind of these grade 3 horses that just run every single grade 3 that exists. Happy American, Pioneer Medina. So this is definitely some hard knocking horses in this race. Caleb, I'm interested to see, where did you land on here?
Yeah. So I actually thought this was a pretty fun race, and I actually landed on a horse that I hope to be a relative outsider, and that is the number 2 Mask Parade. So this is a horse that really didn't do a whole lot of running last time out, but to me that race just absolutely screamed prep race to me. Off of a very long layoff of 9 months, and coming back and on the Derby undercard, and what's really a very weird spot. This is a horse that from day one, essentially, they knew was a 2-turn routing horse. And to bring him back in a 1-turn mile in a really salty field in the Knicks Go on the Kentucky Derby undercard, I mean, to me, that just wasn't really the goal in my mind. And I'm not saying this is necessarily the goal either, but I surely expect Mask Parade to be much sharper in this start. Obviously you're getting a massive Rosario jockey upgrade from Rosario to literally anybody else. So I think Lannery is going to work out a better trip. I mean, if you just look at that last race, I mean, since when is this a horse that wants to come out 9th and then try to pass 8 horses to win? I don't know. He was either ridden without the intent to, really win, or Rosario just Rosario'd. But regardless, I'm kind of tossing that last race and looking at the body of work that he's done around 2 turns as a 4-year-old and even as a 3-year-old. And he's put together some nice races. I mean, 2 back, he lost to Art Collector right before Art Collector blew up the scene with a couple of huge wins, including in the Pegasus. And then, prior to that, I mean, he was running up against horses like Essential Quality twice in a row back when he was a 3-year-old. So a horse that's had some trouble staying healthy, but also has some ability. I mean, if you look back to that June 23rd race last year, second off the layoff at Churchill, he was able to take that step forward. And I'm kind of hoping for a little bit more of the same here today. Second off the layoff, stretching back around 2 turns, and a little better able to utilize his tactical speed in a race that doesn't seem to have a ton of it. I think Mask Parade could be a horse that maybe gets forgotten about a little bit and goes off in that 4, 5, 6 to 1 range.
Yeah, I mean,
every time I see Mask Parade, I just am reminded of that stable duel stream we did where we were all about Mask Parade, and he was like 10 to 1 on the line or something, and he ended up going off as the favorite at 2 to 1.
But in stable duel, that doesn't matter.
That's true.
Not that I want to, fluff stable duel or anything, but no, I mean, I think I've been against Rattle and Roll quite a lot in his career, and tried to beat him basically at every turn, and I fail miserably at it. So I'm going to be a Mask Parade fan, or sorry, Rattle and Roll fan here.
He's really good right now.
Yeah, he's really good right now, and he's sort of hard to get by, and I keep trying to beat him and just failing miserably. So, I think Rattle and Roll is your horse to beat here. Obviously, he's your morning line favorite, and I don't have too much more creative than that to say. I think Caleb makes really good points on Mask Parade. I have him marked down as an interesting sort of other horse. Interesting to see Corey Lannery getting the mount here. Lannery's not my favorite jockey by miles. I would like to see somebody else up on him, but yeah,
an upgrade.
Over Rosario? Really?
Absolutely.
I mean, Corey Landry is 8%. Rosario's like 16 right now. So, I mean,
On the year, was Lannery 17, Rosario is like 12.
okay. I mean, stats don't lie until they do. Sure. Mass parade does make some sense in here. I would imagine it's probably going back to Lannery because they, are planning on keeping him in Kentucky versus shipping him around. That's probably more the intent. But Mass parade makes the sense. And then I thought Pioneer Medina also was an interesting horse in here. I don't know. He's a horse that has, he's had his bright spots, but he's also, I bet him a lot when he just decides not to show up. So, he's been kind of up and down. See if he can return to form. His last two have not been amazingly pretty. And he's been kind of beaten up by a couple others in here, mainly Rattle and Roll. So, Pioneer and Medina wouldn't be a shocker. I don't have anything really creative to say about this race, though. So,
yeah, I'm probably taking a real square, I guess, view on this race. I got Pioneer Medina, and I have Rattle and Roll as my two A's. Rattle and Roll is just going good right now. I can't really, say anything bad about the way he's going. And the fact that Caleb doesn't like him in this spot means I definitely need to use because
no, I do like him in this spot.
God damn it. But I don't know. I think Rattle Rose is going really good. And so I think he's gonna be tough to beat in this spot. I think the only way he gets beat is if someone gets out on the front end and is just able to, get on the front end and just go. And I think Pioneer Medina has shown speed last couple times, or at least been on the pace. And yeah, I think that's going to be the only way that Random Roll gets beat is if track play speed favoring, a horse gets out on the front and just kind of keeps on going. And it really does look like Pioneer Medina is probably your likely leader in this race. Optics seems to think so, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of taking the horse I think who's going to get the lead and taking the best closer and I just getting through that way that here. So and I mean Pioneer Medina is like that Harlan's Holiday and even those I mean really any of those last three races. I mean he kind of has just gotten good this year. Hasn't only has that one win in the mine shaft to show for it, but those numbers are pretty decent numbers and stack up really well with this field. So, and like I said, Louis Saez on a speed horse, especially in Kentucky, is just, I don't know, it's almost like an auto bet for me. So 1-7 for me here.
Well, hold on, Josh. You bet every speed horse. I mean, there's some overlap there.
Well, I bet every speed horse, but this is an auto bet. Right. This is like.
Don't you auto bet every speed
this
horse?
This is like all right. I rolled the 6 3 times in a row, right? And so you have to press at that point. You collect the first two, but then you press.
Okay, so PDT in chat making a case for 4. Call me fast. Anybody else land there? Thought that one was a little interesting.
I think he's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I didn't land there, no, but I think he's interesting. I wouldn't knock anyone for using him. I mean, he sort of strikes me as a worse version of Rattle and Roll.
Yeah.
I know he did kind of wire fields 3 and 4 back, but it's hard for me to know what he's going to do. With Leparoux up, I tend to think he's going to get more of a patient off the pace ride. And I don't know. I mean, he's a tough horse for me to get a handle on. Again, I wouldn't talk anybody off the horse because on numbers, on time for him, there's about 5 horses in here that can run something around a 121, and he's one of them. So, I mean, I think he fits, and he might get lost on the board, but I would need a good price.
Yeah, my main issue with him is he's got that 121, and then 2 back before that, he's got a 119. Both of those figures are probably close to what you're going to need to run to win this race. But it seems sort of odd that I don't know. He doesn't seem to back those races up. So I wonder, is he a little bit of a, one of those every other sort of types, and last race was the race? Or do you really trust that fig coming out of Keeneland? So I don't really know. I wouldn't talk anybody off him, but you need the right price. And I don't think 6-1 for me is the right price on Call Me Fast.
I'm a little surprised, not from Josh, but actually not. I'm not surprised by either of you. I take it back. I was gonna say I'm a little surprised y'all are on the 7 so much because it just sort of feels like in his last 2 he should have run better if not won. I mean, a loose lead last time with no pace pressure and gets beaten by the horse we just talked about. In addition to Rattle and Roll, and then 2 back. I mean, Westwell Power sat just off the pace, as did Art Collector, and he just folded up like a cheap suit. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, he looks like he has a nice run style, and everybody likes Size and Pletcher, but it's a horse that I wanted to see more out of in his last 2. I was a little disappointed by that. So, I'm not too high on him in here.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. You wanted more out of that last start, and it seems like he's one of those horses that makes sense on figures, but he never kind of shows up with it in the right spots. I would agree with you. He's not my top choice. I think he's probably my 3rd choice in here. But he's a horse that, would it be a shocker if he wins? No, but he's also, again, not my top choice.
I had a joke.
And Ian, I would completely disagree. I think you're going to get a lot more than Morning Line on Call Me Fast. I would imagine it wouldn't show. I mean, I could see Call Me Fast being 10-1 in here, just given.
I could as well.
Yeah,
Rattle and Roll takes money. Mass Parade could take money.
Could take money.
Medina does take money.
Does take money.
Santon might take money. He's kind of the wild card in here.
Yeah, Santon's definitely the wild card in here, and I'm surprised none of us were interested in Santon, quite honestly, just given the fact that. I don't know. He's got a pedigree that says he should like this, right?
I mean, if it rains, I'm all about Santon, but Distorted Humor is like 18% in the mud, isn't it? 20% in the mud, something crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Distorted Humor on the top and MDO on the bottom.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's mud pedigree.
That's also a very good dirt pedigree. Like, I mean, he should really like the dirt.
I mean, if they install a time machine at the 8th pole that transports him to Churchill Turf in 2021, I would be all over him. But I'm sorry, 2022. But yeah, I mean, his only good races came over that wonky ass Churchill Turf course. So no thanks.
Whenever I see Distorted Humor, I can only be teleported back to a rainy Churchill Downs. It was a 2018 Derby, 2019 Derby. Funny Duck splashing home for a win.
Hey Andrew, we've heard this enough, Andrew. You can get over it.
Look, I'm just saying, in the Discord, what is the name of the bot? There's 2 bots. There's Tammy and Rusty.
Well, Tammy and Rusty's been broken for quite some time now.
Yeah.
And Funny Duck is also broken. So
yeah. Shout out to Jay Knight. All right, let's move on to race 11 here. And this is a race I kind of capped pretty quickly because I just wanted to be sure that I had something to say on it because I didn't know if we were just going to do the stakes or not. But I mean, I like the 2 inside horses the most. American Retro, did regress a little bit second time, but I think both those figures are generally pretty close to winning figures for maidens around this time of year. So, keep Size aboard. So I'm not really too concerned that this horse didn't win either of those 2 starts. Obviously finished second both times. Now obviously doesn't win this time. It may be more cause of concern. And then you got the Brad Cox firster here. Uncle Mo, 15% first time sire. Horse has been working pretty good. Has got a couple of 47s and 36s in there, and he's got that 5 furlong work I like to see before a horse goes 7 or 8 furlongs. So I like the 1 and the 2 here the most, and then I did like the 5. Driana a bit, had a pretty decent first time out here at Churchill, finished second by a head, and has kind of come back from that or hasn't come back from that. But I think they're kind of running this horse back relatively quick. So I think Ben Colbert probably thinks that this horse is still still primed and ready to go. So interested to see how this one does second time out. I always like betting these horses that run pretty well in their debut. Second time out, you generally see an improvement, and I think the 7 horse here, Snow Princess, showed a bit of speed first time out at Gulfstream, but they put it on the turf, regressed a bit, and it was kind of a salty race too. The winner came back to win another race shortly after. So horses going back to dirt, and obviously Bill Mott horses generally get better with time. So interested to see how this 7 does third time out. So I got the 1 and the 2 as A's, and I got the 5 and the 7 as B's here. Caleb, where did you land?
Yeah, so we're different in this race, and that's always fun. I guess of the ones you mentioned, the 2 was kind of the one. The 2 and the 5 are both ones I had a passing interest in. The 2, I mean, all the reasons you mentioned. Pedigree's there, half sibling to Madureira, Cox, Scaflio, and Godolphin. Checks all the boxes. You don't get a price, but you kind of have to respect it. The 5 ran a fine race in debut. I was kind of against most of the other horses that had multiple starts. Like the 1. I mean, I like the debut race. It does bother me the horse regressed, and it regressed somewhat significantly in that second start. So I didn't really like that. So instead, I'm going to a horse who I'm kind of expecting to take a step forward in their second start, which is the number 9. Little Prankster is actually going to be like a single A for me in this race. Phil Bauer is one of the probably most criminally underrated barns in all of horse racing. I mean, he does so well with so many different angles, moves with relatively limited numbers of horses. Second career race the last 3 years, obviously, as you have on the screen, 18 starts, 33% second time out. This is a horse that actually took a lot of money on debut, running at Churchill on Kentucky Derby week before the Derby. I mean, people are running nice horses during this time, and a small barn Phil Bauer horse goes off 2-1. Didn't win, but did run a good second. Was clear of third, and then third was pretty much a mile clear of the rest of the field that day. The work tab is impressive. I think this horse will be a little bit sharper second time out, and I don't know that he even really needs to. I think if he just or she just rather repeats that race, I think she's tough in here. But with any improvement whatsoever, I think she's going to be a handful for this group. So I think Little Prankster is very much the horse to beat for me.
Yeah, and I had the 9 written down too as a B. I guess I didn't scroll down far enough, so that was another horse I liked in here.
Yeah, I got nothing creative to say here. I was 1, 2, and 9. You guys have already talked those 3. Agree with all the reasons. I'm amazed that no one mentioned the 10 in here, though. And not that I want to talk this race to death or anything, but again, the Asmussen with Flo up. It seems 7-2 on the morning line. I mean, I thought that morning line was a little suspect personally, just given what this horse has done on the track. But anybody give a look to the horse that apparently has a case of the hangs?
I know I gave the horse a look. To me, the way this horse has been campaigned feels a little bit wonky. And I mean, the debut start, lose to the jockey, it is what it is. But this horse to me seems like wants 2 turns and maybe more of a down the road type. I mean, Curlin babies typically mature a little bit later on. So this is a horse I would look for a little bit down the road, potentially even on turf, I was thinking. And then they bring her back after the layoff in a dirt sprint where she makes the lead and gets run down. I mean, it was a fine race. She should and could improve, but there's just others in here at better prices that I liked more, that I thought offered a better risk to reward ratio, kind of compared to the 10. I mean, but she could win. It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, the 10 plots out pretty well, but a lot of horses plot out well in this race. The 1, the 7, the 5, the 9, they all look good. I mean, the 1 and 9 probably look the best on the plot. A little bit of 7. So
I mean, it's always hard to use the plot in a race like this with horses that have 0 to 2 starts for the most part. It can be kind of it overweights very limited data, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know the does Asmussen fit into your rule, Caleb?
Um, Generally, I give him a little more leeway than I would like a Baffert, Brown, or Pletcher, just because he has so many freaking horses.
Yeah.
So sometimes they do take a little longer, and also they don't typically go off at 6 to 5 every time. I mean, this horse went off at 15 to 1 and 16 to 1 in his first two starts, and then she came back and went off at 9 to 5 in that return effort where she ran second. So at the price, I can be more forgiving. I will say that I probably won't use her here, but if I would end up being convinced to use her, this is kind of her last shot. I mean, if she doesn't do it here, I need to see her switched out turf or stretched out or something different because I think I've seen enough at this level to bet her at what are surely going to be a short price until she breaks her maiden.
Yeah. But yeah, we wanted to make sure that we got another stream in because we were off last week with Caleb and I grabbing dinner, so that was fun.
That was a
Caleb,
fun
so
night.
that was very fun. I'm glad you enjoyed the restaurant. We went to Cortino, which is in the city of Chicago. It's just like a Italian small plates kind of place. It's pretty good. Good cocktails and stuff like that. But and then did you guys end up going to Flight Club?
We did not. No, we ended
Yeah.
up not making it.
Yeah.
We did something else instead. What did we do? Shoot, I can't remember. Oh, we rented those divvy bikes and went around downtown.
Oh, nice. Nice. You didn't get hit?
It was close a few times.
Yeah, dude.
Dude.
Dude, you are braver than I. Like the most I would probably do is like actually bring my bike to the path.
Yeah.
But like I would drive my bike to the path. I would not ride my bike in the city.
Yeah. She's like, oh, people do it all the time. And I'm like, okay, like how bad can it be? And it's just like pretty bad, actually.
Yeah.
Like it's just like people are going like 40 and there's like stop and go traffic, like slamming on their brakes and people running red lights. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Nope. Not for me. But yeah. But yeah, so we appreciate you guys checking in. Obviously appreciate any viewership you guys give us. So we will have another episode of Drinking Champagne up sometime, either late tonight or early tomorrow. Andrew and I will be recording tonight. And then, obviously Diablo 4 released, pre-release was
Goodbye,
today.
Josh.
So, yes, I played for about a half hour before stream. So having fun with that so far.
How is it?
I did not play any of the betas or anything. So,
I also caved and bought it for like $100 or $90, which is
yeah, I
absurd.
paid the $100.
God.
Yeah, I know. Dude, it doesn't matter, dude. I bought
The man's up $600 on $6. He can afford
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Okay.
Early
Yeah.
release.
Yeah. I will say just a brief story about Vegas before we sign off, and I'll go into more depth on this. I'll go into more depth on this on Drinking Champagne, but I got killed, dude. I got killed the first 3 days.
On craps? Or
On
just in
everything.
general?
And I was playing. So Caleb, I'd always only known to play the pass line, and you play the come and you play odds, right? And so I just did that. And so the first day I was there, last time we went for NHC, I ran up $40 to like 600 or something, right? Just playing pass line odds, come odds. I just had a random roll, and then Caleb sits down next to me at some point, and I see him start pressing other parts of the screen, and so I start looking over, saying, "Well, what are you doing over there?" So this time I came, I did a little bit of research. Caleb taught me some stuff, and then I watched videos and stuff, and so I was like, I'm going in with a plan, all right, and so. I was just going to play a minimum pass line and max odds, and then I was just going to play the 6 and 8 for $12 each, and press. Right? I would collect once. I'd collect once just to kind of cover my bets, and then press. And so I would press them up to 24, and once I get to 24, I would start playing. Instead of pressing them, I would start covering other numbers. I kid you not, dude. I was not hitting any points, and I kept on hitting numbers. And any time I would cover the last number, I would immediately 7 out. It was crazy. I would leave one number uncovered, and it would be fine, right? And I hit a point, I'd hit a number, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna cover the last number, 7 out, immediate. It was nuts, but I was probably down on craps alone like 500, $600 in the first day and a half. I hadn't even been there for like 2 full days. But luckily, I did that. I had a nice last roll when I was there, and I left. I came back with money, so I didn't win money, but I have money. I didn't go completely broke, so I'll take that. I'll take that win. It'll seed my next trip. I've already booked my flights for August, but. Yeah, Andrew's a big fan of Vegas, so we like talking about it, and I know we there's so many horse racing podcasts out there that just talk about, hey, let's handicap a sequence and do all that stuff. And I mean that's what we do on our live stream, right? Because we like interacting with you guys, we like doing that. So podcasts, we try and do something a little bit different. Talk a little bit more about just the nonsense on horse racing Twitter, and make fun of Mark for some random reason and things like that. So. But yeah, it was a fun trip. Wish I would have felt better. It's 2 Vegas trips in a row where I've kind of been sick, but live and let live. But yeah, you guys doing anything this weekend? Any live streams or anything?
Nothing seriously planned. I think there's gonna be a lighter weekend until the Belmont weekend, where I have a little bit of a better card to fire at. Getting amped up and excited for Saratoga. Getting a lot of emails from Naira about getting my ticket packages and such. So I got to get ready for that. But give me a light weekend for me. I think maybe play some disc golf, and got some yard work I need to get done. So yeah, nothing crazy exciting.
I already know this is gonna be a huge degenerate weekend for Caleb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago for 5 days last weekend. I haven't been a horse race since the Preakness, I think. So yeah, I'm not planning to do anything besides fire away this weekend, which sucks because the racing's not great. But it's like my only weekend home in town, and then I'll be heading back home for home meaning West Virginia for like over a week. For a wedding and some other stuff going on. So I'll be next week. Me and Pops will be firing at Belmont for Belmont Stakes. But in the interim, yeah, I'll be firing at probably Belmont and Santa Anita mostly this weekend. But now that I have Churchill, mostly done, I might throw, and by throw I mean donate money over there as well.
I mean, I hit a $450 exacta at Hawthorne, of all places, today. So yeah, I was pretty light on the horses. I only played the Mando pick 6 basically last week. So and then David's asking any B or C tier tracks that we visit. I'll probably be making a couple trips to Hawthorne just because that's local to me. I will be making a trip out to Kentucky Downs. And that's
not a B or C tier track, though.
Yeah,
that's like an A+ tier track.
No, boycott Kentucky Downs. Isn't that what that guy on Twitter is pushing? To boycott Kentucky Downs because they raise takeouts by 1% or something. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Don't
act. It's that Derby 1952 guy or whatever. I think he does the Sport of Kings podcast or whatever with the other guy, Caroni.
I thought he did the betting podcast.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But and then I might try and get to Canterbury. So I might. So I have like $150 in Delta gift cards, and Delta flies nowhere I want to go. So, AKA they don't fly to Vegas.
They fly to
Minneapolis.
Yeah. Is that Minneapolis?
They fly to Minneapolis because it's a hub.
So
it's a huge hub for them. Yeah.
Like from Chicago, I can really only fly to Georgia, New York, or Minnesota direct with Delta.
You can fly like anywhere in the world from Chicago with Delta direct. No, I was just literally looking at a flight from Chicago to Japan this like an hour ago.
Okay, well, yeah, but I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna just.
They race horses.
I'm not going to Tokyo race course this summer. All right, so like, it doesn't help me.
Yeah, it's not B or C tier.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true. I actually, no, it's hard for me because I have Saratoga really close by, so I tend, and there's nothing that's close that's a B or C tier track. So, yeah, yes, a little smug mark. But no, I'm going to try to plan a trip one of these years, and maybe I'll make it happen this year to go to Assiniboia, just because, I mean, let's go to like D tier tracks, right? So I've always wanted to go there. I think it'd be a cool place to go visit.
Could you imagine Mark at Delta Downs?
He'd be just in heaven. I'm gonna try really hard when I'm back in West Virginia next week to go to Mountaineer.
Ooh,
so I might get some live Tammy and Rusty action.
There you go.
Is Tammy still around?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's just Rusty now, right?
Yeah. Okay. You'll have to sample the buffet.
Yeah, they don't have a buffet. Not on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday when they actually race. They only have food on West Virginia Derby Day, I think.
Don't they have it at the casino? Is the casino not attached?
The casino they do. Yeah, I meant the track side.
No. Oh, so is the casino not attached to the track, or?
I mean, it is, but it's a good walk.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know if it's C tier, but I'll be out in LA here probably a month or so, and I might hit a little Los Alamitos. So that's C tier, right?
It's a tier for sure.
It's its own tier, yeah.
I had this idea last night, and now mind you, it was this morning. It was like 6:30 in the morning when I had just gotten home from my red-eye flight, where I only slept like a half hour, and I had this idea to do a video where we do a tier list of jockeys. And we get on like tier maker or whatever and rank the jockeys in tiers.
Can we put them all in D tier?
We can do whatever we want. So I don't know. I think it'd be funny if we get if we get Andrew or Matthew to get on, get a consortium of different thoughts, and then we can tier rank the jockeys. So. But yeah, Uncle Sully's probably like, yeah, you're gonna put them all in D tier. So it's gonna be like Gerardo Corrales in A, or an S tier, and who else? Who else we got? I think that's it. I don't think there's anybody else.
I mean, Saez is in the conversation.
Yeah, Saez is probably S, and then you get like IRAD in B tier, and then you get like everyone in F and D. So. But yeah. Oh yeah, look at this. Yeah, I think we need to do this because
we might need to do that. That's actually not a bad idea.
We already see someone calling off Jareth Loveberry in A.
Loveberry A.
So we'll have to do this, but yeah, we appreciate you guys sticking around. Like I said, we'll have a podcast out this week, and then we'll have the last couple weeks been kind of crazy after Derby. Honestly, like I know we did Preakness, but since Derby, it's been kind of crazy. So. I'll do a better job of getting the stuff out early for next week. Belmont Stakes Day is always a big day, so we'll figure something out for that. And then we'll definitely have at least one stream for that. It might be a little bit longer just because of all the stuff. And why are you?
Read chat.
2 fills A+. Man, how much did I pay David?
Seriously.
But,
so we found Josh's alt.
Yeah. But yep. So that's gonna do it for us. Obviously, check us at wrong_lead on Twitter, on thewronglead.com. All of our Twitter handles are here. And yeah, we'll catch you guys later. If I can find the video.